So today I caught some of the Glenn Beck program on Fox News, just enough to hear him make mention of the McDonald's beatdown. Glenn struggled to try to make sense of it, and he failed completely. He correctly noted that one of the worst aspects to the incident was the behavior of the McDonald's employees and the other people in the restaurant who either stood by and watched or filmed it and offered little or no assistance at all to the victim, and even encouraged the perpetrators to flee the scene before the police came. So Glenn Beck asks, why are we doing this? What has our nation come to that we behave in this way? He totally evaded the reality that the whole beatdown phenomenon is almost entirely a product of black racism and black racist culture. Now, it's not always the racist aspect of black culture that explains such behavior among blacks. Often, blacks will beat down other blacks in a similar fashion and refuse to report the incident or cooperate with police in a similar fashion. But the beatdown at McDonald's and the behavior of the employees was uniquely African American. It's not that other races don't commit violence, don't commit heinous crimes, but black crime has a unique tribal nature to it. When people of other races see a member of their own race committing an act of violence, they tend not to join in on the violence. They tend not to stand by and not do anything to help the victim of violence. They tend not to try to cover things up. They tend not to refuse to call or cooperate with the police. They tend not to try to glorify violent crimes by recording them on video and uploading them to hip-hop websites. Glenn Beck doesn't identify the McDonald's beatdown as a manifestation of a particular subculture that is unique to a particular race. He doesn't do so either because he's an idiot who doesn't understand anything about crime patterns, or because he doesn't want to be called a racist. I suspect that it's the latter. When Glenn Beck was accosted by the media for calling Barack Obama a racist, he backed down and said he was sorry. He now realizes that for a white person to call a black person racist is racist on the part of the white person. Since Glenn Beck isn't willing to talk honestly about race and culture, he resorts to a nonsensical explanation for the McDonald's beatdown. He said the beatdown happened because our nation has turned away from God, and that we must turn back to God. Implicit in his argument, if you could call it that, is that atheists and agnostics are responsible for senseless violent crime. Atheists and agnostics committing beatdowns, atheists and agnostics committing muggings and gang rapes. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's all over the news, isn't it? And oh, those awful atheist and agnostic child molesters. You know, those people are the real scum of the earth. And we all know what motivates terrorism around the world. We all know what triggered 9/11, right? It was the desire of atheists and agnostics to kill themselves for the sake of this world. That's what motivates suicide terrorism. In fact, blacks, who have by far the highest rates of violent crime in the United States, are more likely to be religious than whites or Asians, who have the lowest rates of violent crime. Black mosques and black churches are quite often bastions of hate, to say nothing of taxpayer-funded African American studies departments at universities that teach blacks that whites don't deserve what they have and that it's their job to try to extract from whites economic goods through force. Government is one form of force, and muggings, beatdowns, and rapes and murders are another form of force. Black culture at all levels in this country, from the ivory tower to the churches and mosques to the ghetto, promotes violence. And that is what Glenn Beck should be speaking out against.